Morning, everybody. Happy coffee time. Happy conscious coffee. Hope you're conscious. I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock. My alarm went off and I was not interested in waking up. So I went back to bed. And I just woke up a second round here. Had fallen asleep on the couch with my first cup of coffee and decided to wake up. Well, my bladder decided to wake me up and get my second cup of coffee. And I was like, I have this day of a beautiful workshop today. And I am so excited to be teaching the class that I'm teaching. So if you're not familiar with some of my actual work that I do this body work that is called Tantric Integration in Action work. And the Tantric Integration in Action work is all about energetic, quantum touch, quantum orgasm, and that means to play with the quantum field that we all exist in. So getting down to that energetic level and then learning how to move that energy through the body and experiencing full body orgasmic waves. And when I say full body orgasmic waves, imagine when you have an orgasm, when you're having sex, when you're masturbating and you actually have that climax point, right? And all that buildup in energy. Imagine having that go through your whole body, except it being without touch, except it being this magical experience. I know that can sound like absolute sheer craziness to some and like that's not possible and all that good stuff. I assure you it is. I have experienced it. I have experienced it myself personally. I've experienced it with so many clients that I've taught how to breathe properly and control their muscles and learn the points, the acupressure points on the front side to clear out the things that we need to clear, and then exactly how to surrender into that beautiful thing. So today, that's what we're teaching on. Beautiful class. Taught this class down in Austin at the Tantra Festival in December. Had over 50 people in the class, which was a beautiful experience. Taught it last year for the first time. God just kind of impressed on me that I needed to start to teach in group format some of the stuff. So absolutely beautiful. But that's not what this conversation's about, right? I'm just kind of, fiddling around with time and wanted to, share it with you, get you going, well, what the heck are we actually doing here? Can we actually have this orgasm? Yes, you can have that orgasmic energy. And it does lead into my topic, which is why do some people decide to have open relating? And when I say open relating, that means to openly, authentically, unconditionally, okay, and this is the key word. When you hear open relating, the key words to focus in on that open relating means is authentic and unconditional, okay? And those are keywords that we all desire to have, I believe, happening in our relationships, whether that is a relationship with our child, with our lover, our partner, with a friend, all these different relationships that we have in our life. We want authenticity and we want to be able to have unconditional compassion, love, care coming back. Because it really sucks. Doesn't it suck? We've all lived in this state of conditions, right? There is a condition on us for everything. Everything bears this condition, and it gets exhausting, and it causes us to try to be into a people-pleasing mode where we are trying to please everybody else, and we're putting everybody in front of us, and then we get exhausted and fatigued and chaotic, and we look at our life as it kind of just falls apart on us, and we go, I don't have the energy for this. I can't do any more. I'm sick and tired of adulting, right? And we look around and we're like, why am I not getting anything back? Like, I've been putting all this out, but I don't get anything back. I've heard many times, and I've felt myself in the past, like even with my kids, I've made statements of like, I feel like I'm just the fucking ATM machine for my kids sometimes, and it used to be really, really bad. In the recent years, the last like 4 or 5 years, it's gotten where I don't feel that way with my children. And that was because I've done a lot of growth in seeing my children grow in different ways, because I've set better boundaries with them. I've had different conversations with them, and they have grown in their own ways. So we never want to feel like an ATM machine with anybody in our life. Now, that ATM machine might be dispersing money, it might be dispersing sex, it might be dispersing, just time, it might be dispersing acts of service. Who knows what it is. For each thing, it's going to be different. But when we are in that ATM position in life, you're feeling that in a relationship, it tells us that there's conditions set in the relationship, that we must do this, or else we're not receiving love back. That love isn't what? Authentic and unconditional. Yet we will stand back and we will preach left and right that we are unconditional in our love. And I'm just going to say bullshit. Chances are you have at least one, if not multiple relationships in your life that you are not actually truthfully, authentically, unconditional in. Okay? And this is how you can tell. Is there expectations set around your relationship? Do you have expectations around this other person thinking that, as long as they do this, I will love them. If they don't do that, then they're not loving me. Then they're not supporting me. If you're thinking that an action, their behavior is a showing of love and that they must behave a certain, whatever format you want, that is them giving you love and that is allowing you to love them, and that's unconditional, then you need to get your head checked on that one, because that's not what unconditional is. Unconditional loving means that we love no matter how that person is choosing to show up. Okay? No matter how that person is choosing to show up. We're not critiquing them and judging them and restricting our love based on the choices that they're making for their life, for their well-being, for their happiness. And in an unconditional relationship, what we really truly have is we have this desire to see that person happy, even if it means that we ourselves, that we're not necessarily going to always get our needs taken care of. We're not always going to have them be a yes to us. And maybe, possibly, oh goodness, this might actually be that we have to emotionally mature, that we have to do self-development in order to stand in that space with them and allow them that freedom to really be themselves, to find happiness however they might need to find happiness. So a recent topic in my world with my clients lately, and I have so many people, it's so funny with all this COVID stuff and everybody being trapped at home, people being trapped at home, it couples together and everything. And one of the things that I see really blossoming out of it, outside of a lot of arguments and stuff, is a lot of couples coming to me, or singles coming in and going, I've kind of been thinking, like, I don't want just one relationship. I don't want just one relationship. I want multiple relationships. We're talking about opening our marriage up. Just the other day, I was doing a consultation with a beautiful woman, and she shared with me that her and her husband have been discussing a polyamorous or open relationship. And she said, they've kind of tested the waters, and a lot of jealousy came up for him, but it's so pleasant. She's experiencing all this pleasure and joy from the connection that she's experiencing. And he thought that when they were going to just open up the relationship, that they were basically just going to go and find some fuck buddies, some toys. They were going to treat other people as though they were toys, go hook up, have some fun, get their kicks, but they weren't going to actually emotionally care about these people. And she was explaining to me, much like all women that come in and tell me that they're in an open relationship, or that they want to open up their marriage or their current relationship, or that's what them and their partner are talking about, the woman always tends to be the one, 98% of the time, saying, I need more depth, I need more romance, I'm really enjoying this other person, I really am into them, I care about them. And of course the partner is going, oh my God, feels threatened, feels as though he's going to lose her because she's getting attention from somebody else and she's enjoying it. But then that same person who's feeling that jealousy and all that stuff, he'll look at me dead in the eyes and say, I love my wife, my girlfriend, my partner. I unconditionally love her. I just want for her happiness. I just want her for her pleasure. I want to support her. And then I said, well, what about this? And he goes, yeah, but I just don't understand why she has to like them. Like, why does she have to actually care? Why is she actually like, what if she catches the feels for them? It's me. I'm not do this because I'm not okay with her catching the feels for somebody. And my response is always, well, then you don't really love her. You don't really love her because, and you don't really understand what is going on. In order for her to have the pleasure that you're wanting her to have and that she's desiring, in order for for her to blossom and be in joy, she has to actually give a shit about that other person. She has to actually be attracted to them. She has to actually care. She has to actually have this bonding going on where there is a kind of feeling, whether that is, friendship love, there has to be that love there for her to actually be able to surrender to the pleasure, to surrender to that joy. It's not going to. Majority of women do not operate like that. We actually need to really be able to trust the person in our sexting. Otherwise, it is like washing our hands in sex, and we're raping ourselves when we don't have our hearts in it. Now, guys too, their hearts in it, it's just a quick act. It's not anything. And what a lot of people get wrong in this area is that they try to go and it's just an act. We can just, just go perform it and have our little get the adrenaline rush, and then they think, oh yeah, and then they wonder, why is that so unfulfilling? Why do I feel nasty? Why do I feel dingy? Why do I have, why do I have these feelings and this disgust? Or why are there all these different things coming up for me? And it's because you're not getting your heart into the game. You're not actually connecting at that level. So why do some people choose open relating? Some people choose open relating because they think that open relating is just that hand washing, that quick, action base of just getting that relief. And it always backfires on them because their partner probably is the one who is not action based. They're not just going in for that quick or somebody that they actually do catch the feels for. And they're like, I really like this person. And then jealousy, who is at that action based, doesn't understand that this is not the moment to go, oh no, I'm going to take this away from you. I'm going to make it where you can't have that because of my jealousy. And if you don't do what I say because you're making me jealous because you actually care about that person. Is that unconditional love? No, it's not. That's not love at all. That is control, right? That is fear in the self. And that is that fear and that jealousy don't have you are. That's that one scenario. Now other people choose open relating because they get all this. Okay? They get that we are designed that we can love, whether that is having more than one child, more than one friend, more than one sibling, more than one parent, or more than one lover. Okay? So open relationship. It does. And it's you just have to kind of look at it like that. So it would be crazy to think 2 siblings, but I can only love one of them, right? I'm not allowed to love the other one because I don't have enough love to go around, or I'm going to completely abandon that sibling to love that other sibling. Or if we have more than one child, look at that, because that can really go out to so many of us, right? We're parents, we have our babies, and if we have more than one child, can you imagine that in your heart you have another child? Well, no, I love that child because I can't take from this person. And if I give my, then I'm not going to be able to love this first child. Well, that's not at all how we operate. We love both of our children. We love both of our siblings. We love both of our parents. We love all of our friends, right? We have different relationships with them, but okay. So why is it that when we bring our genitals into this game of love, that all of a sudden it means that we only have limited love? Why is it there? I mean, I want you really to kind of question. I'm not trying to push anybody into open But I see a lot of shaming going on, a lot of fear, and there's a lot of wrong teaching in this subject, and it is coming up open, more and more popular. It is a hot topic of our times. Things very interested in open relating. Okay, so my generation has a little bit more difficult time, as in our 40s. A lot of people have a difficult time. You move into the 50s and the 60s, and it's like, oh no, that's a sin, that's a this, that's a that. But when you access those who are in their 30s right now, in their 20s, and teen relationships, a lot of open relationship is going on, and it's because they're starting to realize, they're starting to wake up around their sex in this department. There's been a lot of shame, a lot of guilt around our sex, a lot of shame and guilt around our genitals, and we have really had this ruling around our, just telling us that if we love someone, then we must control them. We must control their genitals. We must control their needs, their desires there. So better they not have an orgasm for the next 20 years of their life and not be into it, as long as they're just providing their genitals to us. But it's okay if they're not into it. It's okay if they're not really reaching their depth. Maybe they're having a little bit of orgasm, but maybe they're really not reaching their depth of potential in the orgasm, and maybe it's just more transactional between the two of them. But as long as they're just keeping that transaction between your genitals and my genitals, right? And we're not letting it go out, then that's love. That's love. So sacrificing your pleasure, sacrificing your full potential, sacrificing your joy, sacrificing your happiness, and anybody who's watched me and has read my stuff or come to my classes or has worked with me, that literally rape ourselves and our sex and control and put conditions around it, how it shuts us down in other areas of our life. And it causes a lot of different trauma, mental and emotional trauma, and physical damage to the body, which in the end causes a breakup in the relationship. Okay, so it is about, if you really love your partner, open relationship is, if you really love your partner, open relationship means that you are unconditional with their love. So if they come to you, like I have so many people coming to me right now, come to you and say, I would really like to open the relationship. Don't take it as though they're saying, I don't want to, I don't love you. You are not enough. You are not worthy of this. I need more. I'm trying to escape you. I'm trying to do this. None of that. You get fulfillment, feel joy, feel connection, and they know that they can expand their heart out and be more open in their loving. It can look at so many different ways, right? So I was reading a post, and I'm actually going to share it from a fellow coach, and they actually run a poly group that I follow and everything, and they just have some beautiful teachings. And he put out this letter, a letter to a man that that sleeps with my wife, I think is what it's called. Some letter, and there was a letter, and but that's kind of like when it came out, and I was reading it this morning. I first woke up before I fell back asleep, and we're trying to hold on to that relationship. Okay, there we go. I had lost my. Literally, I have a boat in my backyard. See, I'm on a boat. Okay. Boat. So, can't see the screen really, but so when we are operating from that place of unconditional love, we're looking at it and we're going, is me wanting the best for my partner. This is me wanting them to really thrive. This is me wanting them to really be happy, joyous, connected. And the other piece here that we have to consider is that sometimes we take it as though this is that if they're not willing to have these conditions, right, that's not love. And then if they ask for the conditions, we shame them. All right, I'm like pacing on the boat now. Okay. Then we guilt them. We're knocking them down. And here's the thing that you have to remember. When we knock down our or female, the more we knock that person down, the more we make them susceptible to falling for the first person that builds them up. Okay, and then they leave us, right? They leave us because we've knocked them down, and somebody comes along and is sweet to them, nice to them, and then they go, well, crap, I've been knocked down all this time, and this person over here, this person loves me because this person's feeding me my love languages. This person's loving on me this way and that way, and it feels so good that they catch the hardcore feels, and then they want to leave. Where the reverse is, if we're supportive of our partner, if we're feeding into their love languages, if we're, giving them affirmation, giving them physical touch, doing the acts of service, doing the things that we should just do, and listen to them and hear them out and not shame and guilt them for their desires or make them feel weird or wrong in their desires, but actually go, okay, that's really, really touchy of a subject for me. That brings up a whole bunch of stuff for me, but this is just a space for me to grow. This is just a space for me to expand, to become a better person, a stronger person, a more empowered person. This is a space because it scares me, because it feels so out there, because I've been taught something different, but I can see that all these conditions are actually holding our relationship down, holding my partner down, and making it where they're more likely to go searching for something else, or if something just stumbles into their path, well, then they're going to cheat. Then they're going to do this, then they're going to do that, instead of being living in unconditional love. I mean, if you've ever experienced unconditional love, it is the most blissful thing on the planet. When somebody is able to hold that space for you and not make you feel like crap because they're scared, and all of a sudden they're taking responsibility for their emotions, they're taking responsibility for where they're at and who they are, and they don't actually need you to show up anyway. They love you showing up just the way you are, and they're supportive of your happiness. Even if that means that they have to breathe it in a little bit and expand, they're like, hey, I got you here, babe. I got you, and I love you for this. I love this piece of you. I love this turn on that you have. I love this enthusiasm that you have. I love all of this stuff. Somebody's messaging me. Hold on. I love all of this stuff that you have going on right now, and you're just glowing, and that makes me feel great because you're glowing, you're charged up, you're turned on to life, you're vibrant, you're full of life, you're thriving, and that I love. And I know that I'm contributing to your thriving, to your happiness, because I'm supporting you unconditionally in this department, because I'm willing to do the work on me to breathe it in and to actually allow myself to expand. And in that, our love grows. In that, our love expands. It's absolutely amazing. When we experience this unconditional love, you know what happens to our love? It expands. It grows, and that person that you are giving that unconditional love to, well, that person thrives and looks at you with total adoration, total love, and never wants to leave you. It steals the relationship deal. It builds more commitment. It builds stronger love. It builds all of these things just because you're willing to breathe in and expand yourself and offer authentically unconditional love. So why do some people choose open relating? Because of that. That's why some people choose it, because they get that and they want that, and they know that it's going to cause them some turbulence. They know that they're going to feel some emotions that they're not comfortable with. They know that they're going to have some difficult conversations. They know that they're going to meet their challenges, but they're willing to do the work and breathe it in and operate more and more in that unconditional state. And as they do, they develop such strength, such power, and even more intense love for self, which means that they can also give that to another person. Because they're no longer controlling. They're no longer needing that other person. They have fulfilled themselves. They know how to take care of themselves. They're strong in who they are. Most relationships today are relationships based on need. And a lot of people go, that's bullshit, Kendal. That's not true. I really love my partner. And I'm like, no, you don't really love your partner. It's based on conditions. You are there because you need that person, or because they need you and you feel bad about it, or they feel bad about it, or something. There's a need base. And they're like, no. And I'm like, if you have expectations, if you are critical around certain things, or you have certain, needs that must be met, requirements in the relationship that are there, then what you have going on is a need-based relationship. You don't have an unconditional love-based relationship. Now, in open relating, it's this thing called agreements. There are these things called non-negotiables, but they are very personal, okay? And they are outlined between the couple. They are really these agreements, and they can also be changed as people grow, as people experience. And when those are there, but they're discussed between the two people. And there's not, on the front side, maybe somebody's like, I don't want anybody to take pictures of you. So that's a small little thing to give up so that you can actually go and explore and experience that can kind of make the road a little bit less edgy for your partner, because they know that no photography is going to be happening. And that's a pretty big one that actually a lot of people discuss and everything, or no overnights or something like that. So those are things that you discuss when you're in open relating and you have these conversations. Majority of relationships, well, actually less than the majority now, because I bet you, I had read a statistic a while back that said that like 35 or 40% of relationships were open relationships, polyamorous, swinging, or open in some fashion, where a lot more couples were actually having these kind of relationships because they weren't getting certain things met within a relationship, so they started to discuss open relating. And it's just becoming more and more popular, where just 10 years ago it was like 10% of relationships or less were like that. And now we have it up to like 35-40%, where a lot of people, it's still not talked about. These people are not openly saying, I'm in an open relationship, but under the covers, behind the scenes, they are. Okay, they are. And it's beautiful. But a strong open relationship, whatever that labeling might be that you give to it, or if you're ever interested in it, really does come with these things called difficult conversations. And the majority of traditional relationships don't have difficult conversations. They don't. It is a need-based relationship that refuses to go deep, that is surface related, and they do not have deep conversations because it's too edgy, because they have differences in their sex, because they're scared to state their truth. They're not being authentic with their partners. And it's all because they're scared of abandonment. They're scared of a retraction of love. They're scared that they're going to lose what they have. And so they just go, zoop, not talking about it. So a lot of people, and I say this because I deal primarily these days with couples, and a lot over the course of time, and even in my own relationships, I've noticed these differences where sometimes things can get very, very surfacey. And a lot of couples come to me and go, my partner is my best friend. I love my partner so much, blah, 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 unconditional love, yada, 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 all this kind of stuff. But I just don't feel like we have the depth that we should have. We've been together for 15 years and we just, I want more depth. I want more intimacy, not sexual intimacy, but I want to actually feel that person. There's no vulnerability in our relationship. There's this or that. It's more like we're two ships passing in the night. I'm like, number one, that's not friendship. Number two, that's not really truly love. And number three, yeah, you don't have the depth because you're not authentic with each other. You're not actually holding a loving space for each other and allowing each other to communicate because you're scared to actually do it, right? It's just fucking hard. It's scary. It's edgy. And we just back away from confrontation. And as long as we back away from that confrontation and having those healthy confrontations that we actually need, all relationship needs to have a little bit of healthy confrontation, not these blowout fights where we're getting all rip-roaring crazy and everything, but where we're actually getting in there and doing some work, breathing in and doing the work that we need to really be able to feel our partner and see where we need to maybe change or how we need to express ourselves and vice versa. And it's two people coming together in conscious relating with the idea that we are going to expand our relationship. We are going to go deeper here. Most people in traditional relationship, it's a foreign concept. absolute foreign concept. They won't do it. They will not do it unless they are put into a therapy or coaching situation with a third party where they are forced into doing it, because they're scared to death to do it, because they're scared of revealing themselves, because they know at their core that they are there based on need, not on love, that there's a fucking ton of expectations in their relationship, and that they don't really authentically, unconditionally love their partner, let alone themselves. Okay? So, open relating, that's why people do it. People do that because they want to experience unconditional love, because they want to expand. And at the end of the day, we all want to be happy. We all want to feel fulfilled. And if our relationships are not that place, it's like, the kitchen is the center of the house, and our relationship is the center point of our life. If we're not having happy relationships, if we're not turned on, if we're not connected, if we're not deep and intimate in our relationship, then we're not going to be able to experience that in any other area of our life to the depth that we want. We're not going to expand ourselves, our life, our vessel, this meat suit, this consciousness, our mind and our hearts, and be able to really truly thrive if we're not willing to open up our minds and hearts, which is what open relating is about. It's not just about your genitals, it is about your mind and your heart, and it starts right here, okay, guys? The genitals, sometimes open relating means that one person's just off and can have, the opposite sex friends, or, have some sensual play with somebody, or just enjoy sensual time with somebody, or like that. And other times, it does mean sex. But we get all of this caught up on the genitals, and we put all of these expectations and these rules and guidelines, conditions on the relationship because of genitals. Okay? So I really want you to look at your relationship today. I want you to look at it, and I want you to ask yourself, how many conditions do I have on my relationship based on my partner's genitals and my genitals? That's the prompt of today. How many conditions do I have in my relationship based on my partner's genitals and my genitals? Okay? I want you to journal that out today. I want you to go deep with it. Okay? And then I want you to ask the question of, what do I fear about my partner's pleasure? What do I fear about my partner's pleasure? So do 2 journal prompts. I lied. It wasn't the only journal prompt. 2 journal prompts. Okay? What do I fear about my partner's pleasure? And what conditions do I have around my partner's genitals and my genitals? My own genitals. On that note, on the 4th of July, I will be doing a podcast with a local psychic, Robert Crusoe, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, who's pretty well known around the area and everything. And he has a podcast, and he asked me last week or whatever if I would do this podcast with him. I don't have the link available yet because I haven't even sent him my information, my bio, and all that shiz. But I just wanted to get a little pre-announcement out, and since it was been kind of popping for me in this, I thought this was a good topic for today. But I am doing this podcast with him on the 4th of July at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we are going to be discussing and debunking some of the things around polyamory and talking about Tantra as well, just to educate the population, not to make everybody go poly, open, swinging, whatever term. Like, I really don't care what anybody's is in their bedroom. I only take care of my bedroom, and it really comes right down to it. I help people to get educated around this, to heal their sex, to reduce the shame or release the shame, the guilt, to have better communication and learn what unconditional love is about. But I don't really care what you're doing in your bedroom, for sure. But if you are among the ones who want to learn about polyamory or want to know how Tantra plays a role in polyamory, because there's a lot of debunking that we could do just on the word Tantra as well, then what I want you to explore is definitely this podcast that will be coming out. So make sure that you look to that. I see that my awesome ninja just posted a link to my events page in the comment section. I don't really have anything written there yet, so as soon as I get that, it will be on that link, and definitely explore that. Other than that, if you are interested in exploring opening up your relationship, healing your sex, building better communication, learning about these things called difficult conversations, and how to go about having more depth in your relationship, well, then reach out to me, because That's where a lot of my passion is at, working with couples around healing their sex, their shame, and having better connected relationships, thus better connected sex. And that can look however it needs to look for your relationship. If you're a single and you're like, well, I don't have a relationship to work on, yeah, you do. You have the relationship of you. And that's where this all gets started. It is the relationship of you, because you can't relate to somebody else openly, authentically, and unconditionally until you can do those things for yourself first. So to love yourself authentically, to love yourself openly, and to love yourself unconditionally. Not many people can say that they do that because it's a work in progress for all of us, but a lot of people tend to disregard the me in the whole game of relationship and go, well, I can't practice tantra, I can't do work on relationship stuff because I don't have a relationship. Well, you have two very very primary relationships, and that is with self and with God, source, energy, okay, the divine, whatever words you want to put there. And those relationships are how we create all other relationships. The relationship that we have with God, the relationship that we have with self, and that is the blueprint, the guidelines, our passage into relationships with others, okay? And that's how we create. So when we feel insecure in self, just like I got done telling you, right? The person who's trying to control the relationship, who has all these conditions on a relationship, who has anger and jealousy rise up at the thought of their partner being with somebody else. Okay? Because, oh my God, my partner has genitals and that person has genitals, and well, now I have all these conditions. And then turns around and says, I have unconditional love. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. You got shit going on inside yourself. You're not comfortable in your own skin. You're hiding from yourself. And it is time to pull that mask back, to pull the veils back, and to do the deep work so that you can expand in who you are, expand in the person that you are, start to love yourself unconditionally and openly, so that whatever comes to you, you're strong in it. You're an empowered human being, and you are thriving because you are happy in who you are. And that's the way you were designed to be. The reason why you're having all these conditions and these ideas of conditions is because you've been conditioned to believe that that is what life is about. That is what love is about. That is how relationship looks. In truth, that's not how love, relationship, or life works at all. Okay? You are worthy of happiness. You are worthy of a thriving, dynamic, abundant life and all good, rich things. And all you gotta do is put that crown on, basically, and say, fuck yeah, I can have this. I'm going to take me and I'm going to work on me, and I'm going to find a happy me so that I can have a happy relationship and I can have a happy life and I can have all that stuff. Okay? So again, journal prompts and Ninja, if you can type them up for me, I would love you forever. I'm going to love you forever. Anyways, girl. But journal prompts are, what kind of conditions do I have around my partner's genitals and my own genitals in my relationship? And what am I fearful of about my partner's sex, about my partner's genitals, right? What scares me around that? Okay? So, I think, any other words that I need to share? I don't think so. My workshop's sold out today. Workshop's sold out next weekend. So yeah, all that good stuff. You didn't make the cut if you didn't register in time. Oh well, they will come back around. So if you look on my calendar, you're going to see a bunch of sold out stuff. Next available workshops for my local DFW peeps out there who follow me. We have the oral intimacies class, we have the summer orgasm class that we always do, and then we also have a sex magic class that will be coming out later this week available. So those are all available and coming out. But then again, there's always the one-on-one, there's always group stuff. Addison Bell has some beautiful events too, so you can find those, a lot of those, on my website as well at the events link that has already been shared. And as always, remember, you're worthy. Remember, you were born to thrive. You were born to have a life that is, dynamic, that is happy, that is joyous. That is your true state of being. That is what your soul wants. That is what God wants for you. Okay? If you're not living that, then you're out of alignment to your soul. You're out of alignment to your truth at your core level. And it's time to step into who you are and say, fuck yes, I can have that. Okay? So learn to love yourself. Look in the mirror today. Say, I love you. And have a blessed, blessed weekend. I will catch you tomorrow on Father's Day for another Conscious Coffee. As always, stop existing, start living. I love you guys.